Hello, my dear friends. I'm Stanislav Shamayev, a licensed business immigration and a corporate attorney in Miami, Florida. Today, we're going to be discussing the topic that you proposed that I discuss on my Instagram. More exact, the difference between the visas EB-1A, extraordinary person, and visa EB-2 National Interest Waiver. At the end of this video, you will be able to learn how to get a free analysis of your case from me. Let's go. Alright guys, you heard a key word, Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you cannot get your questions answered sometimes, right? So make sure you follow me on my Instagram. The link is below this video, where you can ask me the questions under my posts, in my stories, and under any content that I post over there every day. So make sure you subscribe to my Instagram. And the question that one of you posed is, Stanislav, what's the conceptual difference between EB-1A and EB-2 National Interest Waiver? So let's take a step back and remind ourselves, what is EB-1A and what is EB-2 National Interest Waiver? Visa EB-1A is an immigrant visa, meaning that if you get approval for this visa, and I get around 90% approvals for this visa across all of my clients, then you will get a green card. Another question you guys ask a lot, Stanislav, I got approved for EB-1A, when will I get my green card? You basically just got it. If you adjusted your status in the US, then you will be getting your green card. Right now it's about 5 months after approval. If you go through the consulate, then after you get your passport stamped, you will be getting your green card after you cross the border of the US. The actual physical green card you will be getting in a couple of months. When you get approval for EB-1A, and for that matter, EB-2 National Interest Waiver and any other EB category visa, meaning employment-based, you are already getting a green card, right? So there is no additional steps needed if you get an approval for this visa. And again, unless you are in the States, but if you file I-140 for EB visa, you probably filed your I-485, the adjustment of status, at the same time. So EB-1A is a visa for people with extraordinary talent. A lot of people think that this visa is only for Olympic medals owners and Nobel Prize owners. This is not true, guys. Trust me, I have so many approvals for EB-1A in so many fields. To mention a few, the marketing people, business people, models, engineers, IT people, master of voices, the nail masters, the hair masters. You name any profession, I probably got an approval. Just recently, we got an approval for a psychologist, and also I got an approval for a talented event holder, meaning that a person has a talent in leading and presenting events, like entertaining the crowd, doing the games, and things like that. This is just mind-blowing. Just think of it. A person who is good at events, organizing them, preparing presentations, preparing the games for the people, maybe leading the weddings and things like that, got a green card. Don't think that if you are not famous, if you're not celebrity, if you're not like one of the very, very few, you cannot get a green card on EB-1A. It's not true. All you need to do is to prove 3 criteria out of 10. I usually don't file the petitions that are less than 5 criteria, and if you follow my strategy, you'll be able to fill probably 5 to 8 criteria, and this is a normal standard petition for EB-1A. And if you don't have a particular criterion right now, and be able to create the evidence base to satisfy this or that criteria. If you follow me on my Instagram and you watch my streams on YouTube, on Zoom, where I meet with my clients who got approval for the visas, you know what I'm talking about. You have to prove at least 3 out of 10. For example, you get awards, there is a major press about you, and you publish your own articles, right? And this is just to name a few, so you understand what's going on. On the other hand, the EB-2 National Interest Waiver has a different evidentiary basis for it. Even some attorneys don't know that EB-2 National Interest Waiver is also a talent visa. I categorize it as a talent visa as much as EB-1A, O-1A, or O-1B visas, because you have to have some type of talent to be able to get this type of visa. Why? Well, because first of all, you either have an education or education and experience, or you have 3 criteria out of 6. And again, I'm not going to talk about this criteria. I have a bunch of other videos. You have to watch them if you don't know what I'm talking about. This video is more for intermediate level of people who understand the criteria behind the visas, at least on a basic level. So, main thing for EB-2 national interest waiver is what kind of endeavor, and I know maybe some of you don't know what endeavor means in English. That means a project. In other words, think to yourself, what kind of project I'm going to be involved in when I'm here in the US? That's the question number 1 you ask yourself. And question number 2, whether this project is going to be in the national interest of the United States. And make sure that your project has a national application, meaning that if you do good for Florida or for Georgia or for Hawaii, whatever state that is, maybe for a city, your project have to be good for the entire country or maybe even globally. So EB-2 national interest waiver is more for people who are engineers, who are doctors, who are IT persons, who are good big business persons, or people with some great cultural background, just to name a few. But don't be limited by only those that I mentioned, because each case is individual and I have to assess it on a case-by-case basis. So the conceptual difference between EB-1A, a talented person visa, and EB-2 national interest waiver, an endeavor which is in the national interest of the states, is the focus of the evidentiary basis. For EB-1A, we're looking more at your past achievements, right? Your past recognitions and your past and current, what you're doing now and what you've been doing in the past, and trying to figure out how many criteria will be closing, we will be proving, and maybe a little bit of how you're going to continue in your future of your talent here in the States, right? So this is EB-1A. In EB-2 national interest waiver, we have the focus is more on the future. What kind of project you're going to be involved in and how it's going to be in the national interest of the United States. So you see, they both kind of talented visa because you gotta be talented to implement one or the other. But the focus is in the past and present for EB-1A, at the future for EB-2 national interest waiver. Make sure you understand that, because without that understanding, you're going to be confused all the way until you start working with me. Everything's going to be clarified. But before that, you know what you're going to do. First, you are going to fill out the questionnaire that I prepared for you, either for EB-1A or for EB-2 national interest waiver. You can find the links below this video to get your free analysis, right? This is the first step for you to immigrate to the States. Get a free analysis by me. You will get it within 48 hours after you fill out the questionnaire, but do it with great detail, right? I want the details. If you answer yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, my analysis is going to be just like that, right? You don't want that. Spend good 20-30 minutes so I could look over your answers and get you a good analysis. After that, I will be inviting you to the immigration planning, where I will build the strategy of your case. And it's very important to understand that sometimes, I would even say more than 50% of the time, the clients that come to me with EB-2 national interest waiver request, let's put it this way, end up doing the EB-1A. That's why I'm comparing the two, because not always I can see how we can build an evidentiary base for the project, for the endeavor, how that's gonna be in a national interest. If you have that, there is some background for you. You may have some publications, you may have some good salary, you may have been working in a good company, you may be called for the jury and things like that. So very often I switch my clients from EB-2 national interest waiver to EB-1A category, and I do it successfully, right? So don't be surprised if you come to immigration planning to me and I'll tell you, hey, I don't think that EB-2 national interest waiver is for you, but there is an alternative, and then we build a strategy for EB-1A. Don't be surprised, that's normal, there is nothing wrong about it, it's actually good for you, because I do believe I can see a good EB-2 national interest waiver petition when I see it. If I don't see it immediately, probably it's not a good petition. So be ready to switch to a different type of visa. And please don't think that I'm trying to discourage you from filing EB-2 national interest waiver. Not at all. I'm an attorney who wants the result, right? I don't care if I get your green card or a working visa this way or that way. I do care about the result, right? So I don't want to take your money and do some lousy job that's not going to bring the result, right? I'm not like that. I need to get your green card or a work visa. That's it, right? So I give you the best option that you have on the market at this particular moment. So the cherry on the top is that if you go for EB-2 national interest waiver and you have some project that have a component of opening up some type of company in the States and doing a project through that company, make sure that you have funding for this company. And that's another difficulty that adds up to this visa, because for example, if you're a talented scientist, right, and you have a good discovery or good technology that you want to bring to the States and make the States better, you need to make sure that you have the money to back up your endeavor, because once you file your petition for EB-2 national interest waiver, the officer is going to ask the same question: how you going to implement this, because this is one of the criterion for EB-2 national interest waiver. And I think this is the hardest part for EB-2 national interest waiver when I speak to my clients. Sometimes I get a really good project, like last week I had a client, beautiful project in ecology. He created a different sort of a tree. I love my clients, guys. When I meet with you, when you tell me about your project, my brain just explodes. How can you come up with this new type of tree? I don't get it. You gotta be super smart. He created this new type of tree which grows really fast, like 4 times faster than any other tree in the world, and it absorbs a lot of bad stuff from air and from the ground, from the soil. And he had the project to plant like 6,000 of those trees and then to start planting them around the factories, the manufacturers, like across the road, so they absorb the bad stuff from the air and from the soil. And I loved it. He had everything we needed for EB-2 national interest waiver. But I asked him this question: do you have the money to implement this? Because this is a great project. We need to have a business plan and things like that. And he said, no, but I'm planning to get investment for this type of visa. Well, this is not enough. If you're just planning to do this, it's not something you can touch. If you already had an investor or some kind of grant from the government or some type of money or your own money to back up your project, that's it. This is EB-2 national interest waiver, because ecology is a national interest of the United States of America and fast-growing trees is a national interest of the States. But no money, no honey. That's the reality. I switched him to the EB-1A because he had publications, he had a dissertation, he had some press covering his project, but he just didn't know about that. And that's the main purpose of immigration planning, where I see the best way for you to go and I build this strategy which is going to be implemented by the team of 5 to 10 people working on your case. Make sure you understand those little details. And guys, no one is talking about this, right? You watch other videos on YouTube. It seems like and you know, I love my colleagues and I do believe they're professionals, but nobody's sharing the insights, and those insights are critical for understanding of those visas and understanding that you can go all the way to the approval. So make sure you understand that. Rewatch this video, and if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you're missing out. I'm telling you, this is the best content on all YouTube, and you can also get a free analysis of a case whenever you are ready. Subscribe to my Instagram, to my TikTok, so we stay in touch and you're up to date every day. I am Stanislav Shamayev, the lawyer of your future. Your future begins here. Good luck.